Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC-Mura here, and in today's video we're gonna be talking about Nash and how you can use him in this season of Street Fighter V. So let us get started. So what type of character is Nash and what are his strengths and weaknesses? In my opinion, Nash is a jack of all trades style character, at least theoretically, while practically he is mostly played as a hit and run style character. This is because he actually have okay dashes, he have a serviceable fireball, certainly can play a zoning game, especially with the light fireball, and you can use the heavy fireball as a shield to cover your approach, so that is pretty nice. But what makes him work is the fact that from this range, the jumping distance, he have a lot of attacks that can really surprise your opponent because they are really quick and cover a lot of distance. So from this same range, you have the forward medium kick, right? This is pretty nice. The forward heavy punch have long range. The medium kick sonic psych. You can even use the light bazooka knee. As you can see, this was very fast. Could be spaced to even be up to +4. So you can actually get some follow up here, +3. So this is pretty nice as well. And obviously he have a long range on his sweep. It is one of the longest sweeps in the game. Forward heavy kick is alright. So he have a lot of attacks that cover this range. And what makes him really stand out as well is the fact that he have a really long dash. So from this range where you can threaten with all of these options, you can also dash forward and throw your opponent because his dash is pretty long. And Nash also have a good jumping attacks, right? So his jump arc and jumping normals in general are powerful, which allow him to be quite strong from this angle. Your opponent will not know how to anticipate your approach, and that's what makes Nash work anyway, right? This is his best attribute. One of his other strongest elements is his strength against traditional zoning. Let's say for example that Ryu is gonna be throwing fireballs. Obviously you can have your V skill 1 and this will straight out absorb the fireball, so that's pretty nice. It's building you a V gauge, and once you have V trigger you can immediately just V trigger over and punish them for it. This is one of the best anti-fireball tools in the game, right? But it's not only that, he also has the moonsault, which you can use to approach your opponent, jump over fireballs. The tragedy assault will work from some ranges and angles, although this is kind of preemptive, right? As you can see, it's not very consistent, but it is there. It is an option. So he does have a lot of anti-fireball options and obviously have his own fireball, right? And one final thing about Nash that is actually really powerful is his anti-air game. Nash have an anti-air for almost every angle. So let's say here you is jumping, you'll see that crouching medium punch is a pretty good anti-air. Standing medium kick is alright. Standing heavy kick works as well. You have jump back light kick, you have jump back medium punch. Even from some ranges, bazooka knee will anti-air. So he does have a big number of anti-airs, and obviously the EX tragedy assault is a very good anti-air as well. These obviously are good because they cover a lot of angles, but also it is challenging because when you have a large number of anti-air attacks to choose from, you will have to be precise on which one to choose at which situation. So while it is a benefit, it's also kind of a detriment that he have to choose from so many. And one of the other good things about Nash is his frame data on block, especially when point blank, right? You will see that he have a crouching light punch that is +3, leaves him in throw range. You have standing light is also the same thing. Back medium kick is +2, and also you can kind of frame trap it into itself. It is special cancelable as well, so you can go into sonic booms, and once you go into sonic booms, you will be +2, and then you can like throw your opponent after. You have good block strings like crouching light punch into standing, or crouching light kick, standing light punch, so you can check your opponent if they're trying to walk backward. So he does have some decent pressure once he's up close. However, Nash also have his fair share bit of issues. Obviously the first one and the biggest one in my opinion is his lack of walk speed. Because Nash have slow walk speed, you're kind of forced to dash a lot and use special moves for mobility, right? So you'll be forced to use your moonsault, your dashes to move around the screen, which is obviously risky, right? Like if he had good walk speed and was able to follow this, it would have been amazing, but because he doesn't, you will have to dash, so maybe your opponent will jump over you, so that sucks. Another aspect of Nash that is actually pretty weak is the fact that he doesn't have a true reversal. The EX Sonic Sight, this is throw invincible, so you can use it against throws if you see them coming, but it is not strike invincible. Even his V-Trigger 1, you will get hit on startup if they hit you out of it, right? So he does suffer on defense. Nash's biggest issue is that once he gets knocked down, it can be very difficult for him to get his opponent off of him. Finally, he has a 3 frame, so that is a good change, but again, even if he does have a 3 frame, it doesn't change the fact that he does get pressured quite a bit on defense. So as we always do, let's start discussing the character normals, and Nash have a ton of normals, so I will try to move faster through this than the usual. We're gonna start first with the lights, and Nash have fantastic lights in my opinion. The crouching light punch, this is a fantastic light attack, because as you can see it is 4 frame and plus 3 on block, so you can use it and then throw your opponent after. You can use it and then frame trap with crouching medium punch or back medium kick or any of his other lights. So you can get stuff like that, and that is very nice, or even into back medium kick into itself. That's a pretty powerful frame trap. And one of the best thing about it is that it doesn't have a lot of pushback, so then you can do crouching light kick into standing light punch. This is to check your opponent walking backward, right? So let's say that they are trying to walk backward, you can then check them with the crouching light kick into standing light punch. So that is actually really nice. And on hit, it's also a pretty good attack, because the crouching light punch on hit, you can combo it into itself 3 times. Right, so you can get 3 of them into the light kick Sonic Sight, or 3 of them into the EX Tragedy Assaults, right? Both of them are actually pretty good use for your combo. So the crouching light punch is actually one of his best pressure attacks. When you're up close and you want to start your pressure game, the crouching light punch is absolutely one of your best friends in my opinion. And also, one of the really good things about it is that because it is plus 3, it will give you room to shimmy your opponent. So for example, let's say that Karen is gonna be blocking and then trying to throw. Because you are at a good frame advantage, notice that Nash is able to walk back out of his throw range and then follow up, right? So it's a fantastic normal for pressure all around. And then let's move on to the standing light punch. And standing light punch, again, it's really good. It's not as good as the crouching light punch, and I will get to that in a moment, but still a really good normal. The good thing about standing light punch is, again, it's also plus 4 on hit, so you can actually do something like that. These two combo into each other, so you can actually do something like this. That's pretty nice. And the thing about the standing light punch is that it have a target combo attached to it, which is light punch into medium punch, which is this one. So you can go from crouching light punch into standing light punch into standing medium punch, and then special cancel into heavy kick Sonic Sight for the maximum damage, or you might go for a light tragedy assault if you want to take back their bar, but I will typically go for the heavy Sonic Sight. This is the preferred combo route. So this is actually pretty nice, and one of the good things about this target combo is that it's actually really good on block as well, because you can special cancel it, right? Most of the target combos in Street Fighter V are not special cancelable. Nash's light punch into medium punch is one of the very few exceptions, so this is actually pretty nice, right? So if you want to make it completely safe, you can cancel into the EX boom. So you can do something like that if you want to make it completely safe, or obviously you can go for the moonsault if you want to keep up with the pressure, because obviously the moonsault is plus on block. The attack itself, the standing light punch, is also pretty nice, because again, it's also plus 3 on block, so you can throw your opponent after. Again, if they're trying to press a button, you can actually frame trap with it. It's just the same like the crouching light punch, but this one does have a little bit more pushback. And because it have a little bit more pushback, notice that we can't get 3 of them in a row, but you can get 3 crouching light punches in a row. So crouching light punch leaves you closer to your opponent, so I would use it instead of the standing light punch, but standing light punch is still fantastic. And this target combo, the light into medium, is gonna be one of your key attacks and one of your bread and butter attacks in combos, especially after something like moonsault. This is a very standard and very basic Nash combo. Now let's move over to the standing light kick, and standing light kick is Nash's 3-frame attack. So if your opponent is pressuring you, this is the attack that you wanna use. And it's actually really good in this version in my opinion for many reasons. The first one is that it is +1, right? Typically +1 is not fantastic, but because he now has 3-frame, it's actually really nice because it frame traps into itself. Notice we got the counter hit, he's gonna be +5. So then you can combo into the back medium kick, right? So this now is actually a pretty good conversion, right? You can do something like this, and even then you're gonna be +5. So that's actually pretty nice, right? It's a pretty nice frame trap. And one of the good things about it, let's say that the opponent didn't challenge, it does leave him in throw range. So again, you can even, like, you can frame trap with it or play the pressure game. If you wanna play the pressure game, I will still go for crouching light punch. This is the best one, but know that standing light kick is still an option, right? And because it's 3-frame, it covers a lot of functionality, and it will work really well with the crouching light kick, but I will get into that later. And again, one of the best things about it, and one of the things that you have just seen, is that it does have a target combo attached to it, which is light kick, medium kick. And this is also very good because you can hit confirm it into itself. So you can do light kick into light kick, medium kick, and this is a target combo. And then you can actually combo that into the V skill 1. So you can do something like this, build yourself some V gauge, 144 damage for a light combo. That's decent. Like, that's actually really good damage. If you have V skill 2, let's say here that Karen is even gonna quick rise, you can safely charge your V skill 2 and you will still be at a +1 advantage, so you can use it regardless of the V skill you are using and get good results. This target combo in my opinion is pretty nice. You however have to take care that it is unsafe on block. At -6 you will get punished. So you wanna go into this target combo on a hit confirm, and because it hits into itself twice, you will be able to hit confirm it, and as you can see in the corner you can actually get follow-up juggles. And remember, the key way to use the standing light kick is for the interruption. And one of the best things about it is that also because the EX Sonic Boom leave him at +3 and very close to his opponent, he can now get a combo like that, right? You can combo the light kick after the EX Sonic Boom. Obviously you have to be in the corner and very close to your opponent to do this, but it is a combo and it's a pretty decent combo as well in my opinion. So for example, in the corner, this is good for building V gauge, and then you get to continue with your pressure. So it doesn't have a lot of uses. It's useful in combos, in interruption, and somewhat in pressure, but again I will still default to crouching light punch. I do think that is his best pressure normal. The second best one in my opinion is the crouching light kick. His crouching light kick is not as long as it looks, right? So this is a little bit disappointing. It should be longer, but it's not, right? But it's still really good for so many reasons. The first one is that it is +1 on block, and it leaves him in throw range. Again, this is actually pretty nice. But what makes this stand out so much is the fact that it's really good on counter hit. On counter hit, it leaves Nash at a +6 advantage, which means that he gets a crouching medium into standing medium. And for a crouching light kick counter hit combo, this is actually really good. Like, this is very uncommon in Street Fighter V, so that is actually pretty buff. And again, it is +1 on block, so this means that if your opponent tries to interrupt, you can frame trap into the standing light kick. Obviously, if you do it into itself, you will trade. Into any of his light punches, you will trade, but into the 3-frame, the standing light kick, you will get a counter hit and then go to the back medium kick for a follow-up like that one, right? So that is really nice. So his light attacks are actually really fantastic in my opinion. All of them are really good. All of them leave him at good plus frames. All of them have good conversions. They are good all around. The final one is the unique normal, and it is the forward light kick, or the bazooka knee. And bazooka knee is exactly in a way like Guile's. It is obviously a really fast and active normal. If you do it up close, you're gonna be really unsafe. As you can see, that was -5. Best range, you can make it neutral on block. As you can see, this one was 0. So we're talking about 0, which is totally safe on block. And again, you have this 3 frames, so you can immediately challenge, to being really punchable at -5. And on hit, if you happen to land it from maximum range, it's actually really nice because you can get it to be +4. So then you can get the light punch, medium punch target combo, which again is awesome. This is incredible. And also on a counter hit from the same range, let's start it here. Obviously, it is a little bit difficult to space. Again, as you can see, that was +6. This is the sweet spot. It is obviously a little bit challenging to space, but as you can see, if spaced well, it can actually be really, really good. And like we showed earlier, this has some uses as an anti-air. So if your opponent is jumping, you can anti-air with it. And it's actually pretty advantageous on reset. And you can also use it for your advantage in resets. So for example, you can do something like this with Nash, air reset with it. They are gonna be stuck in front of your face. Then you can go for a strong mix-up, right? Like this is a very common use for the bazooka knee, right? For resets like this, when then you can go for combo or reset or whatever you want, shimmy, throw, overhead, etc, etc, etc. Overall, in my opinion, his lights are really, really powerful and really, really good. So let's keep going with the medium attacks. The first one I'm gonna start with is the crouching medium punch. This is useful for so many reasons. It is his main bread and butter combo starter. You will typically go from crouching medium into standing medium punch or back medium kick. So this or this, and then typically you go into a heavy kick sonic psych. That is the bread and butter combo for Nash. But this normal is also a really good anti-air. So it's not just useful for combos, you can use it as an anti-air as well. Let's see here that Karen is gonna jump. You'll see that it is a pretty consistent anti-air. It does require some timing, but it is one of his more useful anti-airs. So that is pretty good. It also have a really good hitbox on it. But it can lose from certain timings, right? If you do it too early, or if your spacing is not on point, it can certainly lose. So you have to be careful when using it as an anti-air. And the crouching medium punch is also really good on block. So for example, if we here had Karen blocking everything, notice that it is +3 on block. The attack itself is 6 frames. And because it's +3 on block, it means that it will frame trap into itself. It will frame trap into standing medium punch and into the back medium kick. And this can be really good. Let's say here that Karen is gonna try to challenge, right? You're gonna be +8, which means that you can get a sweep on a counter hit. You can get an EX tragedy assault, right? This will actually combo, but as you can see, this one is a little bit more challenging. I would settle for the sweep personally. I think this is a good counter hit conversion, but I don't like using it as the first normal in a block string. The best use of the crouching medium punch is as the second normal in a block string, because it doesn't leave you in throw range. So if she blocked it, right, you're not in throw range, I would much prefer using the crouching light punch, which I will be in throw range after. And if it happened to hit as a counter hit, so let's say that we will do the crouching light punch into crouching medium, you're gonna be +8 and much closer. +8 and close means that you get a standing heavy punch. So that is a little bit more added damage, which is obviously really, really nice. So it does have a lot of functionality, and one other functionality it have is that it does have a target combo attached to it, which is the crouching medium punch into forward medium punch. And as you notice, this frame trapped 3 frame. This is a medium into an overhead, and this is actually quite nice because as you can see, if they try to challenge, they will get frame trap. The overhead leaves you in throw range, it happened to land, right? And this is actually one of the unique things about Nash. Not many characters have overheads that leaves them in throw range, so that is pretty nice. But the good thing here is that if this happened to land as a counter hit, Nash is +3, which means that he gets the light target combo. So let's try it one more time, right? So even if you happen to land this target combo as a counter hit, you got the overhead as a target combo as the counter hit, you can follow up with the light kick into medium kick target combo, which is really, really nice. I guess we can then move forward to the overhead. Like I seen, it is a generic overhead, but it's actually really nice. Obviously unsafe on block, But again, one of the best things about it is that it does leave you in throw range, right? So if you happen to land it, it leaves you in throw range, so you can throw your opponent after. Regular overhit is 0 on block, so if they mash, they will hit you out of this. But typically people don't mash if they got hit, right? Typically people will respect it at this situation, so you can get a throw here. But obviously again, 0 is not fantastic. But the target combo overhit is +1, right? So that is an important distinction. At a +1, they 100% have to respect what you have to do next. The next normal is the standing medium punch, and standing medium punch for Nash is one of his most important normals because it complements his hit and run playstyle beautifully well. Standing medium punch is amazing at catching forward movement. It is his best normal at catching forward movement. So we said that from this range we have the forward medium kick, we have the medium kick sonic cycle, all of that stuff. So let's say that the opponent is gonna try to dash forward, right? Let's say here that Karen is gonna try to dash forward, right? You will be able to check the forward movement with the standing medium punch and then combo into whatever you want, right? This is one of the key tools of the standing medium punch. This is one of the key uses. And this standing medium punch, I do think in some situations you can hit confirm it. It is a difficult hit confirm. I'm not sure if you can get it 100% of the time. Let me actually try. I think it is possible, but it's pretty difficult. Because if you notice, you can cancel into the heavy kick psych really late, right? So I guess this was a hit confirm, but this is actually really difficult. Like, I do think if it's possible, it is a hard hit confirm. So I guess you can hit confirm it, right? This time I got it twice, so it is hit confirmable, but obviously difficult. What I would use this for, again, like I said, is catching forward movement. You will want to use it in combos after the crouching medium punch. It's also a pretty good normal to use for shimmies. So let's say that she is gonna block everything and then try to interrupt or try to take a throw. It is useful in these situations, in my opinion, again, as a shimmy tool, because you can get a ton of damage like that, especially in the right situations. So it is a very good normal, and this normal, again, just like the crouching medium, also have a target combo attached to it, and this one I do feel is pretty important. It is the medium punch into light kick. There is a final follow-up which is forward heavy punch, but I don't really recommend it that much. What you want to use is medium kick into light kick. This is very good because it leaves Nash at a +2 advantage. So you can do something like this, and then at a +2 go for a throw or a shimmy, right? This is one of the most common Nash resets and one of the most used ones. It is pretty good admittedly, and I would like to use it a lot in these situations. And finally, obviously, like I said, because it is a 6-frame startup normal, you can use it to hit confirm, counter hit confirm into. So let's say, for example, she's gonna mash his 3-frame, right? Because this is your longest range cancelable medium, you can get something like this, which is actually really nice, right? Even from some range, you will still get that as a hit confirm, so that is really good. Overall, it's a fantastic normal in my opinion, certainly one of his best, and one of the most useful normal for Nash, certainly. Now let's move over to the mediums. We have the standing medium kick, and standing medium kick is pretty useful as well. It can be used as an anti-air. So if she's jumping in at you, you can use it as an anti-air like that. And then after you dash, you can actually be plus, right? So then you can pressure her in at this instant. So that's pretty nice. So it does have usability as an anti-air. You can also use it in the neutral a little bit, but it hits high, right? So if she's crouching, it might whiff over her head, so that is not fantastic. The main use here for this one is gonna be in a lot of the meaty setups. So for example, let's say that we knocked her down. So it's gonna be after the first hit, right? Alright. So let's say you go for something like this. Let's have her quickly cover. right? You can use it as a meaty here, and you're gonna be at +2, +3, as you can see. So you can use it as a meaty in a situation like that, retain the frame advantage, and then go for a grab, right? That is one of its key uses. I don't love this use in all honesty, but it is there. And one of the good things about it is that it does have a target combo attached to it. Again, you can use it like that. It is like medium kick into heavy kick into medium kick. But this is not the key one. The key one you want to use is medium kick, heavy kick into V skill. This is pretty good because this will combo from the crouching heavy punch. Right? So this will be a good V gauge building. In the corner you can actually follow up there. And the heavy kick out of this target combo actually juggles. So I've seen some people throw it out like that. I don't love this use because you are very whiff punishable here. But some people do use it like that, but I don't recommend it. I wouldn't use this in the neutral like that, although I have seen it. Obviously, you can use the second hit as an anti-air actually. And if you happen to land it, you will get a juggle state, which then you can follow up with like an EX Sonic Psych. You can even get an EX Tragedy Assault here, although it is trickier. Let me try to get one more time. Yeah, you can get an EX Tragedy Assault here. So these are some uses, but I would mostly use it after the crouching heavy punch. And if you want, you can get the meaty if you want, right? But I don't love it. Like, it is a use, not the best one. It leaves you at a +3 advantage, so maybe that could be useful, leaves you point blank. So there is some merits to it, but these are the two key uses for the standing medium kick. Now, the crouching medium kick is also really good for Nash though. This normal is one of his key pokes. It's one of his key attacks that you're gonna be using a lot. As you can see, it is +4, but he doesn't get that much out of it, right? Like, even if you're point blank, you will not be able to convert into anything. There is quite a bit of pushback. However, because it is +4, it means that on a counter hit, it's gonna be +6, which means that you get a standing medium punch. So you can use it like this, right? This is one of its uses, but this really shines when Nash have V-Trigger. When Nash have V-Trigger, you can hit confirm this, get the V-Trigger activation, and then get some decent damage out of it. It's gonna be the main use for the crouching medium kick. So obviously as a footsie stool in counter hit confirms, and for activating V-Trigger. Even if you have V-Trigger too, you can actually get some really cool things out of this. So even if you have V-Trigger too, you can stop and get a follow-up bread and butter combo, right? So it's really advantageous, even if they happen to block. Like, let's say she's blocking. So let me try it one more time. You're gonna be neutral, so it's not even bad on block, right? And for V-Trigger 1, you will still be plus actually. So if you had to have V-Trigger 1, let's have your own hit, or block I mean, you're still gonna retain plus advantage, so that's actually really good. Now the final medium for Nash is his forward medium kick, and this attack got buffed so much in this previous patch. It's now one of his best normals, absolutely. Covers fantastic range. It is probably your safest option from this range, because it is really hard to whiff punish. The hitbox is really good. It's not super rewarding on hit, not as rewarding as say a medium kick Sonic Sight, but notice this is -9, -10, while this is -3. Ton of pushback, you're not really gonna get punished. Let's say that you happen to land it on hit. You can then V-Trigger cancel and get full combos, even if you have V-Trigger 2. You will still get some really good conversions. So this is now one of your best pokes. If you are looking for neutral pokes, the crouching medium kick is really good. The range isn't as long as it seems, but it's still pretty nice. And the forward medium kick, I would say this is almost abusable, in my opinion. This is very good. By far your best options in this range, and by far the safest option for Nash in the mid range. So this is a quick edit because I have forgotten to talk about the back medium kick. And back medium kick is one of the key attacks for Nash. Obviously it is 5 frames and it is +2 on block. This is pretty nice and these properties are really important. 5 frames means that it counter hit combos from his crouching or his standing light kick. So when you interrupt someone with your 3 frame, you can combo into it and then go to your heavy kick Sonic Psych. This is actually a pretty cool interruption combo, and because it is 5 frames and +2, it actually frame traps into itself, right? So if she's trying to interrupt here, notice that you can frame trap with it into itself. However, if you are using it offensively, I would use it as the second normal once more and not really the first one. Because you will get the counter hit, you're gonna be +6, which means that you get a standing medium punch or you get it to combo it into itself again, right? So you can either get this one or that, and both of these are really good. Obviously one of the key normals for Nash, you're also gonna be using it in combos a lot, but you can use standing medium punch for pretty much the same purposes overall. But the key factors here are using it as a counter hit combo after the standing light kick, and certainly in frame traps because it is 5 frames and +2, so that is really good. So let's keep going with the heavy normals for Nash, and also like his other normals, he have quite a few heavy normals. And the first one we're gonna talk about is the standing heavy punch. Standing heavy punch for Nash is a little bit stubby, so it doesn't have that much range. You will mostly be using this for crush counter punish and for shimmies. So for example, let's say that we got a crush counter. What you wanna do here is you wanna cancel into a moonsault. Right, like this is typically what you want to do, and then you get the follow-up, or maybe you can use the EX moonsault if you want, and you can get bigger combos there, right? These are typically his main crush counter punish. So if your opponent whiffed something and you manage to get a crush counter, this is typically what you're gonna be doing. Obviously depends on how much you're gonna spend. You can immediately go from the heavy punch into the heavy punch tragedy assault. Will still do good damage, but obviously these are the main uses. Like we showed earlier, a standing heavy punch will combo on a counter hit after a crouching medium punch. So let's say that she is gonna mash, right? This is gonna leave us at a +8. So you will get the standing heavy punch, then obviously you can combo into the heavy Sonic Psych. And one of the cool uses of the standing heavy punch is also gonna be in shimmies, right? So let's say that she is gonna try to break a throw. You can use it like that. You can use the standing medium punch for the same purpose, but standing heavy punch is pretty much a higher risk, higher reward, right? It is a high risk, high reward. And one really cool thing about the standing heavy punch is that you can use it to frame trap into the heavy or the booms in general. So for example, if say we got Karen to the corner, right? If you do the light sonic boom, that's a block string, right? Into the medium one, it's a block string as well. But if you use the heavy boom, this will trade with 3 frame. And notice Nash was +7. So then you get to follow up. So if you happen to get them cornered, you can mix up between that stuff and get some combos on a counter hit or a trade combo. So that is pretty nice as well. So we're gonna use this on counter hit confirms, we're gonna use it as a crush counter, and obviously we can use it as a pressure tool. However, you have to be careful. It is -5 by itself, but obviously special cancelable, right? So you can cancel into moonsault, you can cancel into the sonic booms like we discussed earlier. The next normal is gonna be the crouching heavy punch. And crouching heavy punch for Nash is pretty useful for so many reasons. First of all, this normal could be used as a footsie tool. So in the neutral like that, it is actually pretty good, right? And on a counter hit, you can actually counter hit confirm into an EX tragedy assault. So notice even in the neutral like that, you can get something like that going, which is actually really good, right? That's a really good counter hit confirm in the neutral. Even from maximum range, you can get that stuff. So that is really cool. And this normal also is gonna be used a lot for maximum damage jumping combo. We said that the jumping bread and butter is crouching medium into standing medium. However, if you happen to get a heavy jumping combo, you can go straight into the crouching heavy. It's gonna be at +7, so you can get a standing medium punch after. So that is like the best jumping combo that you can get with Nash. Another use for the crouching heavy punch is gonna be in delayed frame traps. Now the crouching heavy punch, if you notice, is +3 on block. This make it really good to use in pressure, right? You can use it for sequences like that. That's actually really nice. But because it is +3 on block and because it's so rewarding on hit, it's actually really good to use in delayed pressure sequences. So what do I mean by that? So let's here say that Karen is gonna block everything and then jab, right? However, because you can throw her after it, sometimes the players will try to react to you walking forward, right? So Karen here is gonna try to jab if she sees Nash walking forward. So what you can do here is actually use the crouching heavy punch to catch that delay, right? In my experience, it is actually pretty useful for that, right? Maybe if we set her up to even more and have her try to throw, right? So she's trying to do a delay tech. Let's try it one last time. As you can see, you can catch her with that. Obviously, the different players have different timing. You can set it up perfectly in training mode, but from my experience, players who try to react to you walking upwards will actually be vulnerable usually to the crouching heavy punch. At least that is my experience. And like you've seen, if you happen to land it as a counter hit up close, you are +9, so you get a standing heavy punch. So that's also really cool. And I've seen so many players actually use it after a dash. So let's say, for example, that you dash forward and then use your crouching heavy punch. Your opponent might be surprised that you dashed. By the time that they try to tech, your crouching heavy would already be out, and then you get the counter hit confirmed. This is one of the main uses also that I have seen a lot. Obviously, carries some risks, but it is possible and it works. It really does. Now, next up we have the forward heavy punch. And forward heavy punch for Nash is a high risk, kinda good reward on a crush counter attack. It does have a long range, as you can see, but this is extremely jumpable. So it's like if Karen was on the air, so if she was already jumping, but you got jumped in on immediately, right? It's very easy to jump in on this normal. So you have to be careful when you use it, and on hit regularly it doesn't lead to much, but it is very good if you have V-trigger, right? Notice even on V-trigger 2 activation, on the stop we were +15. So at the +15 it means that we actually get a crouching heavy punch follow-up, so that's pretty nice, even if you had already activated the V-trigger. So even on the stop we were at +5, let her have here no press anything. Notice we were +5, so that's actually really good. Even if you stop here, obviously gonna be unsafe, but for the initial activation, it's actually really good, right? And even if you have the other V-trigger, if you have V-trigger 1, gonna activate into +10, which is really a lot. And obviously, if you happen to land the hit, it is very rewarding. So that is actually really nice. On a crush counter, this is actually pretty good as well. It crush counters on hit, obviously. And you can follow up with a heavy tragedy assault here, or a medium kick sonic psych. So you can do something like that, or go for the heavy tragedy assault. This will get you a good amount of damage and stun. And on the heavy tragedy assault, you actually get OK now. Your dash up and be +2 or +3. So that's actually really cool. So this normal is pretty useful, but I will be careful when I'm using it, right? It's not the best normal ever. It is risky. The forward medium kick is a less rewarding, but ultimately less risky option in my opinion. Now let's move forward to the kicks, and also he has 3 kicks. The standing heavy kick. This is a pretty good anti-air. I haven't found that much use otherwise for it, but it is pretty useful. And if you happen to anti-air, you can actually switch sides here. So you can go under. So that's pretty nice. So it could lead to some 50-50 side switch mix-ups. So that is pretty nice. And if you happen to land it regularly, it is +2 on regular hit. +4 on a counter, so you do get a follow-up here, but you're probably gonna get a jab follow-up, so just something like this. I haven't seen such a good use for it in the neutral except the anti-air aspect, because it is -2. Obviously that is not fantastic, you don't want to throw a -2 normal point blank, right? The sweep for Nash is actually really good as well. It is actually one of his best sweeps in the game, I feel. It is one of the longest sweeps. Obviously versus someone like Karen, she have a fantastic sweep as well, but it does leave Nash at a good advantage. After a dash she's gonna be +6, I believe, so you do get a crouching heavy punch even as a meaty, and even on a back rise you're gonna be at an even more plus frames, so you can throw your opponent after. So it is a pretty good sweep all around. It's one of your key neutral tools. Obviously carries some risks, but Nash is one of the characters who kinda have to sweep a lot, right? As you can see, the range actually for a sweep in Street Fighter V is actually really good. The final heavy is the forward heavy kick. This is one of your pokes. It is a little bit shorter than the forward medium kick and the forward heavy punch, but it is more rewarding because it is +3 on hit, so that is pretty nice. It is safe on block as well. From some distance it's -3, but -3 is gonna be pretty hard to punish from its effective range. If you happen to land it and you have V-trigger, you can absolutely V-trigger confirm out of it, so that is really good. And if you happen to land it as a counter hit, it's gonna be +5, so you get a back medium kick after it. So that's actually really good as well, right? It is it's a slower forward medium kick with less range, but ultimately it is more rewarding if you happen to land the counter hit. So let's now talk about Nash's air normals and his V skills. I'm first gonna start talking about his jump-ins. Jumping medium kick, this is the cross-up attack. Notice that it is +8 on landing, so that is pretty cool actually. It means that you can easily get the medium into medium combo, so that is pretty nice, and obviously plus on block. Jumping heavy punch and heavy kick, both are really good, although jumping heavy kick have more horizontal range, right? So if you're jumping at someone who from a further distance, jumping heavy kick is your friend. And jumping heavy punch is still really good, like it hits at a really good angle and you can easily follow up with a heavy after it, so both of these are pretty good jump-ins. However, if the opponent is a little bit further out, jumping heavy kick have more range, so you have to be mindful of that. And these are pretty much his prominent jumping combos or jumping normals. However, Nash have a ton of important jumping normals because of their anti-air capabilities. Air-to-airing is a big part of Nash's gameplay, so let's here say that guy is gonna jump in on us. Jumping light kick, this is actually a really important and really good air-to-air. You jump back with light kick and you'll be able to stop your opponent. Jumping light punch is also really good to stop your opponent. Jumping medium punch is very good as well. And jumping heavy kick is also pretty good as an air-to-air, right? So all of these are pretty powerful as air-to-airs, and obviously Nash have an air throw as well. So if your opponent is trying to jump over you or trying to cross up, you can just jump up back and throw them out of it. So that is actually really cool. He does have a dominant jumping game in general. Jumping is one of the best attributes of Nash. And one of the cool things about the jumping light punch is what you're just seeing right now. It can be used as an instant overhead, right? So if the round is about to end, you can just immediately jump up light punch for the instant overhead capabilities. Next up, let's talk about the V skills. And finally, one of the more important, I forgot about this one. The jumping heavy kick, neutral jumping heavy kick is different. This will put the opponent in a juggle state. So it can be used as an anti-air and it can be used in juggles, right? It will float them like that. So it is useful against stuff like jumps like that, against Vega's wall dives, right? Maybe you can get some really cool conversions out of it. So it is a pretty interesting normal. Neutral jumping heavy kick is pretty interesting. But this is like a hard read or a call out kind of thing because it is on the slower end. But again, it is still really good. Next up, let's talk about the V skills. And Nash, obviously, like every other character, have two V skills. There is the V skill 1 and obviously the V skill 2. Let's first talk about V skill 1 because this have multiple functionalities. It is a part of many target combos, so you can simply use it in combos to build V-gauge, like light kick, medium kick into V-skill, or medium kick, heavy kick into V-skill. Both of these are pretty nice, and if you're in the corner, you can actually juggle after that, right? So let's put them in the corner again. You can follow up with an EX Sonic Side. This will work after both of these target combos, so you can use it as a combo. One of the coolest things about it as well is that you can use it as a shimmy attack, right? So you can use it as a shimmy, and notice that Nash is +5 on hit. So for example, let's here set Guile to try to break a throw. So we're gonna try to throw him and he's gonna try to tech, right? And you will see how we can use this. It is actually really sick as a shimmy, right? And notice the V-gauge. Take a good look at the V-gauge. Like from a shimmy, we built almost 2/3 of V-bar, so that's actually really good. Obviously, you can just go into the medium kick if you want, or maybe an even better conversion will be doing something like that, right? If you want. So you got a little bit of damage, 284 damage. That is really good. And you got the V-gauge, so that is actually really nice. However, you obviously have to be careful because this is unsafe on block. It's -5. So if it got blocked, you will get thrown. So only use this as a shimmy if you are certain that they are gonna tick, right? Otherwise, don't use it that much. There are safer options like standing medium punch or standing heavy punch, but know that it is an option, right? One of the other really cool things about this V skill is that it can absorb fireballs. So let's say for example that Guile is gonna throw sonic booms here. You can obviously use the V skill to absorb booms, right? And it does build a good amount of V gauge. Notice that on 4 booms we built a bar, right? So you're getting a little bit over 30% for every boom you absorb. And actually I wanted to tell you some nice lore here. Obviously Nash is supposed to be Guile's mentor. He's his friend and his mentor. Notice that Nash throws the sonic boom with one hand, right? So he is throwing the boom with one hand, while Guile is throwing the boom with both of his hands, right? The idea here is that Nash have a higher mastery of the sonic boom, and that's why he can throw it single-handed. Just thought it would be a fun fact to throw it in there. Now let's take a look again at the V-gauge building, right? So that is pretty nice. If your opponent is doing a multiple hitting attack, so let's say Guile is doing V-skill boom, you can only absorb one hit, right? So you can't absorb 2 of them, but you can challenge with a hit and then absorb the second one. So that will work, but you can't absorb both of them with the V-skill, right? Overall, it's a pretty good V-skill. It's the added benefit of being able to use it in the target combos made it a lot better in my opinion. Being able to get something like that, and even from a 3-frame combo, getting the easy access to meter building, that is actually really good in my opinion. It's a good V-skill, very useful against any character with a fireball, because obviously you get to build V-gauge, which can then be used on your V-trigger. And if you happen to have V-trigger, and let's say that we have, let's set our V-gauge to maximum again, and set Guile to throw booms. Obviously you happen to got your V-trigger, bam, bada boom, and you immediately get to punish. So against characters with fireballs, it's actually a very useful tool. And thank God now you can actually use it in combos to not have to rely on the anti-fireball properties only. Now let's take a look at the V-skill 2, because V-skill 2 for Nash is actually really interesting as well. It's a power-up V-skill, so think of it like Sagat's Tiger Angry Scar or Honda's V-skill 2. It is that type of V-skills, and it enhances his Sonic Psych specials, right? This is the light one. Notice that typically it does 100 and 100. When you have this V skill on, what it changes for the light is the advantage on block. Typically this is -7. When you have the V skill 2 charge, it is +2. And it leaves you in throw range. So for example, now if you have it on, You can use it like that and keep up with your pressure, so that's actually really nice. When you're using the medium sonic psych, what it happens is that it extends the range, right? So from here, this might whiff, but from the same distance, if I have the V-Skill 2 on, it is actually hitting from further, right? The range is a lot more. You can even see it on the arc animation, right? So it hits from way further. It is a lot safer on block. This is typically -10 on block. When you have the charge, it's gonna be -5, so it's a lot safer and they have a lot more range, right? So that is actually really good. This is a fantastic neutral tool in my opinion. Notice how far you can use this from. So that's actually really good. And obviously when you happen to land it, you still get some really good Oki, right? So you still get really good Oki from really far, which is pretty impressive, right? Again, obviously, the further you are, you might not be in throw range, but you are again you're full screen, man. So it's like you can't really expect fantastic throw Oki from full screen, although you might get it. The third one is obviously the heavy kick one, and this get enhanced juggle properties. Notice that it's popping them higher. So previously this doesn't work. Once you have the V-Skill on, this now works, so that's actually really good. And if you're in the corner, you can easily get an EX one here. So that is pretty nice as well. And on the EX version, you get a lot of added damage. This is doing 160. When you have this on, it's doing 180. So you're doing a little bit more damage on it. And obviously this will enhance his combo damage output by quite a bit actually. Like if you're in the corner, let me get this one last time. Let's put him in the corner. Right, that's 372 for 1 bar. That's actually really good and a really good amount of stun. So which one of these V-skills are better? I would say because of Nash natural playstyle, the power up V-skill is actually not bad. Typically with Nash you're gonna be doing a lot of runaway anyways, so maybe you will actually get a chance to charge it, and once you do, the effect of the medium kick sonic psych, I'll actually say this is the most important one, because it enhances his neutral tremendously in my opinion. But the effect of it is actually really good, and obviously the light one is useful in frame traps as well as all of that. In the corner you can actually get a juggle here, and you can get a Kara after that mid-screen, but it is pretty difficult, but it is possible. Both of them are useful in their own right. Many Nash players default to V-Skill 2 versus characters who don't have a Fireball. I say if they have Fireball, you will 100% run V-Skill 1. If they don't have a Fireball, I think there is a little bit room for preference. So let's now talk about Nash's special moves, and I'm gonna start first with his Sonic Booms because it is the most iconic attack for Nash. Obviously he have 4 different versions like any other character: light, medium and heavy, and EX obviously, right? And Nash's Sonic Booms are very unique because each one of them is totally different. The light one, it comes out the fastest and it travels the fastest, but it has the most recovery. Notice how long it's taking Nash to duck, right? While if I'm doing the medium, it comes out a little bit later, travels a little bit slower, but recovers a little bit faster. And the light and the medium, both of them have the same total amount of frames, so they are both like the same frame wise, so they are both like equally as jumpable. But obviously the light one, like you've seen, comes out a little bit faster, right? The heavy one is totally unique for Nash, because heavy Sonic Boom is actually, it comes out the slowest, but it also recovers the fastest. Notice he's ducking almost immediately, right? And it does have a less amount of frames, like total animation of frames. So this is actually the least jumpable one, but because it has the most startup, it is the most reactable by grounded attacks. So if your opponent, for example, is trying to react to your Sonic Booms and you are doing the heavy Sonic Boom, it is the easiest one to react to. Now, obviously, you can use all three of them in different ways. The light one is good to just check it out there and wait for your opponent. Medium one, you might want to follow with a medium kick Sonic Psych, for example. So something like that's pretty cool. Heavy one, you can use to cover up the space and get in. Or maybe use it and then dash forward once. Wait and see what your opponent is doing. If they try to jump, maybe you get an anti-air. So let's check out like a couple of sequences. Maybe you can do stuff like that. Like this is the light one, right? As you can see, the heavy one will recover a little bit faster, so he will be able to block. Obviously, you can anti-air with it. Get stuff like that going. So obviously, Nash can play a zoning game with these fireballs. I had done a video previously on fireball zoning. I will be leaving a link to it in description if you wanna take a better look at the fireball theory and what you should do. But obviously his fireballs are very applicable in these zoning strategies. Now the EX fireball is very interesting as well, and it's very unique. So when you press the EX button, Nash will do a fireball, but then you will have to follow it up with another one. If you press light, he will follow up with a light boom. If you press medium, he will follow up with a medium. And if you press heavy, he will follow up with a heavy one. This is pretty cool if you want to close the distance. So if you want to like throw two booms on the screen, as you can see right now, you can use the heavy one here to actually just get some space towards your opponent. That is actually a really good applications. And the booms are also very useful both in combos and in pressure. So let's say that we got Chun-Li to the corner. If we happen to land a Sonic Boom on hit, notice that they actually move Nash closer to Chun-Li, right? So they move you closer to your opponent, they leave you at a +3, so then you can get the target combo afterwards. So that's actually really good. On block you can do a lot with these. Let's say for example that she is blocking, you can do one of them and then maybe throw her. You can do two of them and then throw her. You can delay it and then throw her. So there is a lot that you can do here. Obviously you can also go for the shimmy and all of that stuff. So it's a really good pressure tool in my opinion, and you can do a lot of variants with it. Now obviously I've just said that on hit you're actually +3, but you will not be able to get much mid-screen, right? There is a very specific combo that you can do mid-screen to follow up after EX booms, and it is very costly. So you can do something like this, and notice here you will do the crouching heavy punch into crouching medium punch, and then throw the EX boom into the heavy boom. And you want to delay the heavy boom as much as possible, right? So if you do this correctly, you're gonna be at a +13, and at a +13 from this distance you get an EX Tragedy Assault. So it should look something like this. Let me get it right this time. Right? This should be the full combo. Is this worth it? I mean, you be the judge. I don't think it is. Maybe in some like very unique situation you can go for something like this, but it's certainly an awesome looking combos, and it is a good way to convert out of the EX Sonic Booms mid-screen, right? So that is pretty cool. Now the next special is gonna be the Sonic Psych, and obviously again 4 different versions, light, medium, heavy. These are good for combos. So the light one is actually really good for combos. It combos from all of his light attacks except the crouching or the standing light kick. This doesn't link, but it links from all of the jabs, right? Light punch, or crouching light kick, crouching light punch into like Sonic Psych. So that is actually really powerful. It doesn't put you in a fantastic OK situation, right? So on a double dash you are negative, so that is not fantastic, but it's a decent way to combo out of lights, because otherwise you're gonna have to use either the light or the EX Assault or the EX Sonic Psych, right? So the OK isn't fantastic, but at least it's a way to get combos out of your crouching and standing light punches. You can use the light Sonic Psych in the neutral. It is effective from about this range, but why use it when you have other options like crouching medium kick and forward medium kick? Some players do, I don't personally, to be honest. Now the one that is useful in the neutral is the medium kick Sonic Psych. This is probably the most useful one in the neutral. It has the same effective range almost as the forward medium kick, maybe a little bit longer, so it reaches a little bit more than it. But again, it is a good neutral tool because you can zone them with fireballs like that and then suddenly bam in your face with a medium kick sonic side. So it is useful in that regard. And this one is pretty good in combos as well. It will combo from all of the mediums and heavy, right? Again, not the best Oki in the world after a knockdown on back rise especially. You will have to walk into it. So not the best Oki, but it's pretty good. And this one is actually really good for juggles as well. So for example, let's say that Chun-Li is gonna be jumping. Right, this works, and the light one works as well, while the heavy one will not, right? So with that, let's get actually to the heavy Sonic Psych. The heavy Sonic Psych is what you're mostly gonna be using for damage, for combos. You can use it as a preemptive anti-air, like as a very hard read. So for example, let's say that you do something like this. Right, like that's a very hard read, right? I am doing it almost before she jumps. So maybe, but as a reactionary anti-air, this doesn't work, right? But it is really good in combos and it leads to really good Oki. So if you knock her down with that, notice Nash is super plus on a knockdown. So this is the best one to use. Even if you happen to land the jab into medium punch target combo, go for it. It does obviously the most amount of damage. And if you're gonna cancel into super, obviously you can juggle into this one, right? So this is straight up juggle, while with the light and the medium, you will have to super cancel, right? So that's a little bit of a difference, which makes it kinda easier to combo into as well. The EX1 is pretty cool. It's a really reliable anti-air, I would say. So if Chun-Li is jumping, it comes out really fast, and it's a pretty reliable and good anti-air. Again, obviously you can use it in combos as well. And the EX Sonic Psych has throw invincibility. So if your opponent is trying to throw you, let's say for example that the opponent here is gonna try to, Chun-Li is gonna throw me on wake up, right? You can wake up with an EX Sonic Psych here and actually avoid the throw. So if you expect that your opponent is gonna throw, you can absolutely go for it. And one of the best things about it is that you can even activate V-Trigger here, right? So this also applies to V-Trigger 1 if you have V-Trigger 1 and she goes for the same thing. Right, you can also activate V-Trigger and get some good conversions here. So overall, the Sonic Psychs are really good combo attacks. The medium and the EX1 are really powerful neutral tools, and they are very essential to Nash combo game. Now the next move is gonna be the Tragedy Assault. And Tragedy Assault is very interesting on Nash. It's one of the most unique attacks in the game because it interacts with the opponent meter directly. So for example, when you use the Tragedy Assault, notice that Nash is stealing meter from Chun-Li. This was the light version. This is now the medium version. And this is the heavy version. And they take progressively more bar, right? Notice this is half of her meter bar or half a bar of her super. So that is a very cool interaction. And one of the other things about it, which is actually very unique as well, is the fact that the EX1 actually steals life. So notice if you do the EX Tragedy Assault, Nash will regain some health back, which is actually very entertaining. This is very unique, right? So with a couple of EX Tragedy Assaults, I have regained back some HP. So what are the uses for the Tragedy Assaults? Well, the first one you have just seen. Obviously they are useful in combos. So for example, the light one will combo from mediums, right? And the medium one will combo from heavies. So if you do something like heavy punch, you can combo into the medium Tragedy Assault. You get some bar and deal some good damage. The heavy one, you can't combo into it directly. This can only be accessed on a crush counter. So for example, if here we happen to land a crush counter heavy punch, you can go into a heavy Tragedy Assault, or after a forward heavy punch, you can go into a Tragedy Assault. Now, is it worth it to use these attacks, and what is the meaty? They don't leave you in fantastic okay situation, but you do get a meaty here. So after a tragedy assault, notice that Nash is gonna be +8, but he is from a distance from his opponent, so if you dash forward, you're gonna be punishable, obviously. Right, he was -11 on this dash. But the interesting thing about this distance is that it is the exact distance for the bazooka knee. Right? So if I didn't move at all and then I do a bazooka knee, it is the perfect distance to get the +4. So this means that you can use it as a meaty here. And then you get a follow up. Even if Chun-Li woke up with her buttons, so Chun-Li here will wake up with her crouching jab. Right, you get the counter hit and you get the conversion, which is really nice. So the Oki isn't fantastic, but at least you get something, right? Notice this led to a lot. And the heavy one is actually quite different, actually. What I told you applies to the light and the medium. And what's cool about them is that even if she happened to block, so let's say that she happened to block on wake up, right? You will be at the perfect spot. Let's have her not do a wake up attack actually. Especially after the light one, you will be safe, right? So if she happen to wake up after the light one, you can go for the bazooka knee and you will be at a distance where you are totally safe at neutral. The heavy one is the best one. You will want to use it after stun. So let's say for example you got the stun and you're about to win the round. It's not a bad idea to use the heavy tragedy assault here to gain some meter. And you do get a really cool meaty here actually. Look, let's here remove the stun again. Notice that Nash here is +21, right? So at a +21 he gets to dash here and be +3. Which means that you get to pressure with crouching medium or throw them after. And the EX Tragedy Assault is very cool as well because it combos from lights and it leads to Oki. So for example here you can do jab jab into EX Tragedy Assault, get some life back and actually get Oki. You can double dash twice and you will be at +2, right? So regardless of where you are on the screen, you get a ton of corner carry and get a +2. You can whiff a bazooka knee, and that will put you at a plus frame advantage. You're gonna be +8. Right? So either double dash and get a +2 or bazooka knee and you at be +7 or +8. Your opponent cannot change their meaty. They can't quick or back rise. They always have to get up at the same timing, which makes it actually a really good attack, right? And notice the corner carries that you get on it as well. And one really cool thing about this, especially with V-Trigger 2, like let's say that we are in the left side of the arena, right? If you use it, you can activate V-Trigger, and notice this, we took Chun-Li from a corner to the other corner. So the corner carry is fantastic, and you get some life back, it deals some good damage, combos from light attacks. Overall, it's a pretty powerful attacks, all things considered. Now, the final attack for Nash is the Moonsault. And Moonsault is pretty cool. It's one of his mobility tool and one of her get-in tool, right? And they all move set distances, and you have to be very aware of this. So if you're point blank, for example, and you did the light, he will go this distance. If you did the medium, he will jump over her. The heavy, he will jump over her. Even like for example from the mid-screen range here, if I do the heavy, he will jump over Chun-Li. So they move set distances. But this can actually be good because they are anti-airable, right? So your opponent can see you and then try to anti-air. Maybe then you will land behind them and go for a grab. That can be pretty powerful. Or you can use them as shimmy tools. So let's here have Chun-Li wake up with a throw. Right, so let's do it one last time. Hopefully we will get the timing right. Alright. So Miss Chun-Li is gonna wake up with a throw here. I don't know why she's waking up with legs, but obviously you can use the Moonsault as a way for shimmies, right? And obviously if it happened to get blocked, they are all plus on block anyways. The light one is +1, medium is +2, and the heavy is +3. However, some things that you have to consider about the moonsaults is that if they are blocked or hit at the tip range, they are more plus. So notice that we said that the light is +1 point blank. If you happen to land it from the round star distance or its maximum range, it's gonna be +3. The same for the medium. Maybe this was a little bit closer. Yeah, it's gonna be +4, etc, etc, etc. And they are also more plus on hit. So for example, if you happen to land a maximum range light one, so like this, notice that Nash was +8 on this counter hit. This means that you actually get an EX Tragedy Assault here, right? So this is not a very common knowledge, but it's actually really cool. If you could space the moonsault like that, you can actually get a lot of mileage out of them, right? And obviously depending on the spacing, you can like get a medium punch follow-up, but regardless, you get combos on hit anyways. However, what happens on hit? If you happen to land these on hits, you're gonna be +4. Regular one are +4 on hit anyways, so you get to combo a light punch, medium punch target combo. This is pretty much guaranteed, right? So that's actually pretty nice. Obviously might depend on the spacing a little bit, might get finicky sometimes and it might whiff, but generally it is reliable. And if you happen to land these as a counter hit, as you seen, you are gonna be +6. So +6 means that you actually get a medium combo. So in a counter hit, they're actually really good, as you have just seen. Now the EX1 is homing. Unlike this one, the EX1 homes to the opponent, and it is considerably fast. So this one is also really good to use as a shimmy tool, and it leaves Nash at a +7 advantage. So because he's +7, and because it leaves you really close, you can always get a crouching medium punch into standing medium punch out of it. That's actually really cool. I'm not sure why she's waking up with that instead of a grab. Let me try it one more time. I want to show you the shimmy option, but I think this one is going to be a little bit delayed. Yeah. Alright, we finally got it. Hopefully this time she wakes up with a throw and not the legs. Right. So let's say that you got a knockdown. Notice you can use it like that to shimmy your opponent and get a lot of damage in the process. Now one of these things about the moonsault, and I will show you guys in the Oki section, is that sometimes it's really good to use on block. So let's say for example here that Chun-Li is gonna try to reversal or V-reversal. Against some characters, the moonsault will actually hop over their V-reversals, but this is very character specific. So maybe not on Chun-Li. I think on Chun-Li it is too quick. Her V-reversal is too quick, but you can actually get this on some character. I know for a fact it works on Ryu, because I have tried it on him, and I do think Juri as well. So there are some characters that you can get this to actually beat their V-reversal. And I know on Poison it works as well, because obviously Poison is my main character. Overall, Nash have a good suite of special attacks. You have to use all of them. All of them are useful in their own ways. There isn't really a throwaway special or one that's not very useful. Most of them are good in the neutral, and you can't really go wrong with any of them. So let's now start with the V-triggers. I'm obviously gonna start with V-trigger 1, good old reliable V-trigger 1. It's a 2 bars V-trigger, and it's a pretty straightforward. It's a teleport, right? It's just a teleport, and there are 3 different variations of it. If you just press neutral and V-trigger, or down and V-trigger, he will appear behind his opponent. If you press forward and V-trigger, he will appear behind them and in the air. Back plus V-trigger, he will appear in front of them and in the air. And obviously you can mix up your opponent with this one, just throwing Sonic Boom and then teleporting. This is a good idea. Maybe next time you will appear in the front, so that's alright. Maybe next time you'll appear from the back and shake them low like that. All of these are pretty cool. I would recommend actually using an EX Fireball for these. Like something like this could actually be tricky to deal with if your opponent is not careful, right? So they can be tricky, but obviously I feel like they are not as effective as they once were when the game first came out, but obviously your opponents still have to respect it. Now, the other main use for this V-trigger is simply gonna be hit confirming, right? Like for example, you get a crouching medium kick, now you get a little bit more damage. You get a forward medium kick, now you get a little bit more damage, right? You get a forward heavy kick, again, same deal. Just hit confirming an uncancelable normal into damage. That is actually a pretty good use of this V-trigger in general, right? It's a very classic use of V-trigger, but it is effective with this one because Nash does have a lot of normals that are hit confirmable into this V-trigger, and obviously one of the main uses will always be bypassing fireballs. Like this will forever be good with this one, right? It's always gonna be one of the uses that will be pretty powerful. Now there's something here that when you actually teleport behind them, sometimes Nash is from a little bit of a distance, so you will have to move forward a little bit into your punish. Something interesting about this one is when you do it in the corner, Nash actually doesn't appear behind his opponent, so he will remain in the front, which might confuse them. Like I've seen many people actually get hit by this. So let's put Ryu back to the corner, right? Nash will stay in the front, obviously with plus frames. Obviously you can use it to escape the corner as well, so let's say that you yourself got cornered, crouching medium kick, V-trigger, and then you get out. That is not a bad use, right? That's a good use of V-trigger. Honestly, it's a very dry V-trigger. Like outside of combos, it's very practical, very dry. There isn't really that much to discuss or talk about here. Very effective, very straightforward, very simple on what it does. You get to do cool combos like these and get some cool extensions. One thing that's actually really cool about it is that you can cancel out of the EX Tragedy Assault into it, right? And then maybe you will get an air throw here, right? So that's a cool combo. So there are some extensions here and there, other than being a combo utility tool or just using it to react to something unpunished. There isn't really that much to V-trigger 1. It's a simple V-trigger, it's actually a good V-trigger, simple and effective. So let's now check out Nash's V-trigger 2 because this one is a little bit complicated. Nash's V-trigger 2 is called Stealth Dash. It gives him this command dash thing, right? And out of the dash there are multiple things that you can do. If you press back, Nash will stop, right? If you press punch, Nash will do this overhead attack. And if you press kick, Nash will do this somersault or flash kick style attack. So there are three things that you can do: stop, flash kick, or overhead. And there are so much things that you can do. There are so many things that you can do with this V-trigger. First of all, it's a 3 bars V-trigger. And Nash doesn't typically have fantastic crush counters, but because he does actually now have more ways to combo into his V-skill, I feel like recently it is okay to run the 3 bars V-trigger on Nash. At least that is my opinion. Obviously we have seen some players use it to some great success. Now this V-trigger is a reset and combo machine. It will allow Nash to combo so many things. So for example, you can cancel any normal or any special into this activation. So you can do, like for example, a medium kick psych and activate. And once you activate, Nash will immediately dash forward, right? So you can do medium kick psych, dash into the somersault, right? So this should combo here, right? And this will launch the opponent. Then he can do multiple follow-ups. You can do like a medium tragedy assault, or you can dash up into an EX Sonic Psych. You can do the follow-up Justice Corridor and then reset your opponent. There are so many that we can go here, but let's take step by step. Let's first talk about the what is the properties of the dash. One of the good things about the actual dash at the start is that it is fireball invulnerable, right? So for example, if Ryu is throwing Hadouken like that, you can immediately dash through and punish him for it, right? So this is a really good and fast immediate use, right? Or maybe get a medium kick psych here. Another use of this V trigger that's actually really cool is if the opponent is jumping in on you. So here you is gonna jump with a heavy punch. You can anti-air them like that, switch side, and get to pressure them yourself. So these are two of the really cool activations. Otherwise, you will activate it like any other regular V trigger for simply hit confirming or activating and getting plus frames. So for example, you can do something like forward heavy punch and then immediately do press backward to stop, and notice that Nash was +5, right? So then at +5 you can pressure your opponent, go for a grab. Maybe you can use a crouching medium kick and then stop. This will leave you at 0, I believe, right? So it's not that fantastic. Forward medium kick and stop, this is +2. You can do a sonic psych and then stop, and this will leave you as a neutral. EX sonic psych and then stop, and this will leave you at plus frames. You can do boom and then stop, and actually you can activate boom on whiff. So you can do this and get close to your opponent. This is actually pretty nice, right? Like being able to throw boom and then activate V trigger like that is actually really good, right? And use it as kind of a way to approach your opponent. So the activation itself is actually really interesting, and there's so many things that you can do here. Now let's take a look at the combos. Like, what are the basic combo routes? The basic combo routes are pretty much gonna be a let's here have the V trigger timer set to infinite, so I don't have to activate every time. So let's say that we activated, right? The basic combo routes are gonna be, once you do the medium kick sonic side, you're gonna cancel into the dash, right? And then the flash kick. This is like the most basic one. Then you can do medium tragedy assault, or you can do dash up, like I said, into EX sonic psych. You have to dash into this one, right? This works. Or if after the flash kick, you can press forward again and the V trigger to do the next up or the follow-up attack, which is the Justice Corridor or the overhead, right? And then you get the follow-up here. Maybe do a light kick psych to end the combo. So there are some combo routes here that are really interesting. And again, maybe you will do something like the EX Tragedy Assault, and then you can actually even cancel that into the dash as well. But you kind of have to dash into the EX Tragedy Assault a little bit, right? And then you can actually here get the Justice Corridor or a medium psych. Now, is there a use for the overhead? Yes, the overhead is actually really interesting as well, because it is actually plus on block. So for example, if you do the overhead here, it's gonna leave Nash at a +2 advantage. So you can do something like that, be at +2 and then throw your opponent, right? These are some very good uses for this V trigger. Now what happens, what can you do if you want to maintain plus frames? Let's say that you want to do something that will get you in and P+. The best way is EX boom. EX boom into dash stop. This will leave you at plus frames, right? This will always leave you at a ton of plus frames. Regular boom and stop will depend on the distance and is interruptible, but this will pretty much always guarantee plus frames and being able to pressure your opponent. Now, aside from combos and aside from getting the overhead, obviously if you manage to get the overhead to land, you actually get a juggle here. Like you can get obviously like a light kick sonic psych, you can get an EX sonic psych if you want, but what's really cool here is that you can also get an EX tragedy assault, right? And then keep up with it. Right? And keep it going. You get what I was going with this, right? So obviously, if the overhead lands, you can get a ton of damage, right? And typically, for example, if you manage to get like a basic combo here, this is a good idea to super, and obviously we have seen all of that even from the trailers, right? Now, aside from even going for the combos, there are a ton of resets here that you can use as well. So for example, after the overhead, you can always do the forward light kick or the bazooka knee, and this is a fantastic reset point, right? So you can reset them and go for a grab. If you happen to land it from a specific angle, so let's say that we do something like this. We don't want the stun. Let's turn off the stun. Right, maybe go for the front here. And maybe next time we can actually cross him up and go for the back. Notice how naughty and how crazy this V trigger can get, right? So this is a fantastic reset point. If you got them near the corner and you suddenly combo into the somersault, you can always V-skill, and again, notice this will lead into some really tricky 50-50 mix-up. Even after the V-skill for the reset, you can cancel it into the dash, so you can do something like this. So for example, right, and reset them, and then cancel that one into the dash itself. So let's check it out. Right. As you can see, there is a ton of potential with this one, right? It's a very tricky V-trigger and there's so much that you can do with it. I will be leaving you with a couple of links for a couple of fantastic videos that I have found. And I would check out actually Kirma of Light, I believe is the correct name. I hope I didn't say it wrong. He have a fantastic channel that have so much tech for Nash. I would highly recommend checking it out if you're interested. Absolutely fantastic, and you'll find so much V-Trigger 2 tech in there. So before I go, I wanted to talk briefly about Nash's critical art, and it's a pretty interesting critical art, have a lot of utility in my opinion, and he does get some interesting situation post the critical art. Now the super is done by doing 2 fireball backwards and punch, right? And when he hits, he will dash forward towards the opponent, and when it hits, obviously will trigger the cinematic. As you can see, you can use this for multiple ways. First of all, it goes through fireballs. So if Ryu here is throwing a fireball, you can just go through, bam, and hit Ryu. You won't know what hit him. And it's a critical art that is easily combable as well, because it combos from sonic booms, right? You can simply do boom into it. You can do a medium or light sonic psych into it. This is special cancel, or a juggle after the heavy kick sonic psych, right? So it will connect from any of these. And what's really interesting about it is that Nash is +6 after a dash, right? So after a dash, if you happen to do it right, Nash should be +6, which means that you get a meaty here. Either you can go for the crouching medium punch, or you can go for the crouching heavy punch if you want. So you actually get a really good post super situation. And this super is also really good to anti-air your opponent with. It works really well with his fireball actually. So for example, let's say that we did something like what I'm gonna do now. Ryu is gonna jump after the fireball. Right? Here you can actually try to super Ryu, right? And he will pretty much have to hold that super, right? Obviously Ryu in particular can air EX Tatsu, but you get the idea. This works versus almost every character that can change their jump arc. And obviously they will have to eat the super, and like I said, he gets actually a pretty good situation after the super. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. Typically I do a combo and an Oki section, but in all honesty, there is a shout out that I have to make. It is a very dedicated Nash channel, a Nash player called Caramelo Light, I believe. I hope I'm not saying the name wrong, but honestly this guy have so much Nash tech and he's so dedicated to Nash that I really actually want you to check out his channel. If you have any interest in any Nash tech, tips for Nash, combos, resets, Oki, he got it all. I will be leaving a link to his channel in the comments and in the description below. Please check it out, and I will leave a link to the combos that Nash can do this season. Again, if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. It helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page and the Discord server page in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.